Hello everyone and welcome back to part 2 of Atomic Habits. Now this is a good little experiment on the best way to start a new habit. So they had 3 groups. The first group was the control group. They were simply asked to track how often they exercised. The second group was the motivation group. They were asked not to only track their workout but also to read some material on the benefits of exercise. Finally, there was a third group. These subjects received the same presentation as the second group, which ensured that they had equal levels of motivation. However, they were also asked to formulate a plan for when and where they would exercise over the following week. Specifically, each member of the third group completed the following sentence: during the next week, I will partake in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on whatever day, at whatever time, in whatever place. In the first and second group, 35 to 38% of people exercised, whereas in the second group, 91% of them exercised at least once in the week. So that's like a massive difference. That's like a 60% change. So yeah, that's huge, and it just goes to show that just saying you'll do it or having the plan to do it isn't as good as actually plan it out. If you have the date, time, place, and you stick to it, you'll definitely do it every single time. Alright, this part is how to design your environment for success. So there's an energy crisis in Amsterdam, and near Amsterdam, and Dutch researchers did an experiment to try and work out why some people in this area use more electricity than others, and they found out that the ones that using more had their energy meter in the basement, whereas the ones using less had their energy meter in the hallway. So they'd see it and think, oh, I'm using however much, I need to use less, or I can use more, whatever. So it's just saying to design your environment. So say you want to go run, you put your shoes at the door and put your clothes on in sight, so you see them and you think, oh, I need to do that, because it says that every habit is initiated by a cue, and we are more likely to notice cues that stand out. This next part is about environment as well. The chapter is The Secret to Self-Control, but it's just talking about environment. I've kind of touched on this, but it says in the Vietnam War, there was a massive problem with heroin use, and 35% of people had tried and 20% was addicted. And it says that the people that had rehab after but didn't go back to war, 9 out of 10 weren't addicted anymore, whereas the ones that did go back to war, 9 out of 10 became addicted again. So it's just saying that the environment, everyone was stressed, so they were taking heroin, they could get it easily and all that, and it's just making a point of, if your environment's wrong, you're not going to be able to fix your habit. Like I said, if you lose weight and then you go back to your same friend group and lifestyle, you're going to be overweight again. So the next part I've got is that you've got to make the habit attractive, and you'll make sure you do it. So this one's saying that there's a guy that loved watching Netflix, but he also knew he needed to exercise and get in better shape and get fit. So he was an engineer, and he made a bike so that he had to pedal so that he could watch Netflix. So he was getting fit, and he had to do that to watch Netflix. So he made it attractive. And there's loads of other points that it also says temptation bundling works by linking an action you want to do with an action you need to do. In Ronan Bryn, that was the guy that was the engineer. He bundled watching Netflix, a thing he wanted to do, with riding his stationary bike, the thing he needed to do. The next part I want to talk about is environment, and how you can pretty much do anything if you're constantly focused on what you want to do. So this Hungarian guy decided to do kind of an experiment on it, because he believed that he believed exactly that. And so his kid, he would bring it up from birth to be a pro chess player. That's what he chose. And so he had books everywhere on the house. He had pro chess players on the wall, and chessboards everywhere. And this first kid was Susan, began playing chess when she was 4 years old. Within 6 months, she was defeating adults. Sophia, the middle child, did even better. By 14, she was a world champion, and a few years later, she became a grandmaster. Judith, the youngest, was the best of all. By age 5, she could beat her father. At 12, she was the youngest player ever listed among the top 100 chess players in the world. At 15 years and 4 months old, she became the youngest grandmaster of all time. Younger than Bobby Fischer, the previous record holder, for 20 years. She was the #1 ranked female chess player in the world. And they used to get like asked questions at school and saying, oh, you must hate your life and it's so boring, all you do is play chess and all this. And the children would always say it's all we know and we enjoy it. And people were like amazed by that, because I guess people just perceive it as boring, but when it's all you know, it's fine and enjoyable and normal. Alright, the next part I want to talk about is imitating the many. In 1950, psychologist Solomon Asch conducted a series of experiments that are now taught to legions of undergrads each year. To begin each experiment, the subject entered the room with a group of strangers unbeknown to them. The other participants were actors planted by the researchers and instructed to deliver scripted answers to certain questions. The group would be shown one card with a line on it and then a second card with a series of lines. Each person was asked to select the line on the second card that was similar to the length of the line on the first card. It was a very simple task. Here is an example of 2 cards used in the experiment. As you can see, Figure 10, this is a representation of 2 cards used by Solomon Asch in his famous social conformity experiments. The length of the line on the first card left is obviously the same as the line C, but when a group of actors claimed it was a different length, the research subject would often change their minds and go with the crowd rather than believe their own eyes. The experiment always began the same. First, there would be some easy trials where everyone agreed on the correct line. After a few rounds, the participants were shown a test that was just as obvious as the previous ones, except the actors in the room would select an intentionally incorrect answer. For example, they would respond A to the comparison shown in Figure 10. Everyone would agree that the lines were the same, even though they were clearly different. The subject who was unaware of the ruse would immediately become bewildered. Their eyes would open wide, they would laugh nervously to themselves, they would double check the reactions of other participants. Their agitations would grow as one person after another delivered the same incorrect response. Soon the subject began to doubt their own eyes. Eventually they delivered the answer they knew in their heart to be incorrect. This next part is how everything is perspective, and I've talked about this in a video before, that a stressful situation for one person might not be, well, it isn't a stressful situation for another person. So it's saying, like, instead of saying you have to, say you get to wake up early for work, you get to make another sales call for your business, you get to cook dinner for your family. And then it also says that I once heard a story about a man who used a wheelchair. When asked if it was difficult being confined, he responded, I'm not confined to my wheelchair, I'm liberated by it. If it wasn't for my wheelchair, I would be bedbound and never able to leave my house. This shift in perspective completely transformed how he lived each day. Reframing your habits to highlight their benefits rather than their drawbacks is a fast and lightweight way to reprogram your mind and make a habit seem more attractive. Then the next part adding on to that is 2 examples. Finance, for example. If you save now, in the future you're going to have a lot more, or in the future you can have a holiday. And then exercise, if you go exercising, you get to say, oh, I get to go and gain strength, or I get to go and get better endurance. And then the other point was like pre-game jitters, where you like get a bit shaky and heart starts beating and all that before you do a speech or perform in a sporting event, let's say. I think it's fairly well known that anxious or scared and like happy and excited are both the same thing goes on with your body. Like heartbeat's quicker, and anyway, all the science behind it. And you just got to say, instead of I'm scared, I'm anxious, all that, say I'm excited, I can't wait, this is going to be great, I'm so happy to do this. And then it's another mindset change and it'll make it all better. This point is my favourite point, I think, out of the whole book. It's quantity versus quality, and it's this university professor that was doing photography, and he said, this group A, take 100, if 100 photos makes your grade higher, whereas group B have to get one good photo. And in the end, the group A that did the 100, the quantity side of things, ended up getting way better grades because they did that many quantity that they knew what to do, what not to do, how to do it best, and ended up having more things to choose from. Whereas B fully focused on the quality photo and didn't get any practice in, and their one photo compared to 100, you've got a lot less chance of it being good. So quantity over quality. And I heard that when I did if you've been watching my videos for a while, 10x challenge with Grant Cardone, he said it's quantity, not quality. But obviously it's subjective. It really does depend what you're actually doing, because with certain things it actually does need to be good. Whereas with, like, for example, the algorithm with YouTube, TikTok, social medias, the more you post, the more the algorithm pushes you out. I really like this part as well, on screen right now. Imagine you're holding a garden hose that is bent in the middle. Some water can flow through, but not very much. If you want to increase the rate at which water passes through your hose, you have two options. The first option is to crank up the valve and force more water out. The second option is to simply remove the bend in the hose and let water flow through naturally. Trying to pump up the motivation to stick with a hard habit is like trying to force water through a bent hose. You can do it, but it requires a lot of effort and increases the tension in your life. Meanwhile, making your habit simple and easy is like removing the bend in the hose. Rather than trying to overcome the friction in your life, you reduce it. One of the most effective ways to reduce the friction associated with your habits is to practice environment design. So what I want to add to this part is how it links to kind of marketing, I imagine a lot of people that, I don't know for a fact, but that on your way home from work, depending on how far it is, you'll pass at least one McDonald's. And this is just how it links to it, that you're hungry, you're tired, you're probably bored, and you see a McDonald's and you're going to go. And it's just how it's planned, like how it's on work routes home, where the McDonald's are. They say that people think it's a burger or food company. It's actually a real estate or property company. They just buy in great locations. They barely actually make any money from selling food, apparently. Apparently they just make it from the property that they own because of the location that they own it in. So yeah, fun fact. Just a quick one. I've got a little quote here that I've highlighted. Sometimes success is less about making good habits easy and more about making bad habits hard. And then there's two little kind of quotes again. The greatest threat to success is not failure but boredom. So what I want to say in this is, there was another like kind of question or study kind of thing done where they asked athletes how they actually stick to things and how they keep enjoying something or something. I can't remember exactly because I just vividly heard it or read it, and it was saying that at some point, it was a coach anyway, and at some point they do actually get bored, and it's not like that they still enjoy it, it's that they know it's the purpose, they've got to do it, and obviously they might enjoy it, but anyway, they know they've got to do it, so they do it, and like the motivation isn't there anymore and boredom's here, but it's then discipline that takes over. They know they've got to do it, so they're going to do it. And the other one, anyone can work hard when they feel motivated. It's the ability to keep going when work isn't exciting that makes the difference. Again, discipline. I'm going to make a video on discipline because it's a huge subject. On to the last part. So this is literally the last page of the book that has a very, very good point, which I fully agree with and I'm going to fully implement into my life. It says, the secret to getting results that last is to never stop making improvements. It's remarkable what you can build if you don't stop. It's remarkable the business you can build if you don't stop working. So, again, I'm going to talk about Ted again because he's covered this point. He said, it was some sort of quote, I'd never known someone that's never quit on something that's failed. Something along the lines of that. And it's exactly what that's saying, that, and what I'm going to do as well. If you never quit, you literally can't fail. Well, you might fail and fail and fail and fail, but it's not really failure because you're learning from it. So people have actually said in podcasts I've listened to, they don't believe in failure. They just believe it's like a stepping stone to success and they need to learn from this thing to then get to the next level. So again, I fully agree with that. I think that's a very good point. And as I've said a few times now, I'm repeating myself, that if you never stop, you will not fail. So thank you very much for watching this video. I'm hoping you've got some good information out of it. It's possibly going to be 2 parts. You'll know if this is the second part this is in. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, turn the notification button on so you never miss any important and educational content. And I'll see you in the next one.